and Rumble and Twitch and YouTube. How are you guys? All right, this is on a wing and a prayer. This is step 65. Whoops. On Patriots Soapbox, seen Thursday mornings from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. Eastern, and then from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. on Saturday evenings. Again, just for your time zone. All right, so I like to interact with people. That's what makes it fun. I mean, you guys come into chat so you can chat, but I like to interact with people too. So we're going to. Oh, my nose itches. Um, my first order of business once I get this going is, let's see, no chatters yet, but all right. I went to. Okay. So if you are in the Texas, if you are in the Killeen area, let's see, hopefully this will allow me to share my screen. All right. So if you are on YouTube, ah, all right. Okay. Oops. Hold on. Let me. There we go. Yay! All right. Rumble YouTube. If you are in the Texas area, we have an unaccompanied veteran burial, Mr. One Edward Franklin Taylor. It will be Wednesday, October 1st, 2025, at 11 a.m. sharp, Central Texas State Veterans Cemetery, 11463 Fort Hood Street, Killeen, Texas, 76542. So if you can make it, or if you can't make it and you know of anybody in that area, go ahead and please. And it looks like we got someone looking in Switch or Twitch maybe, but if you can make it, or if you know somebody in that area who can make it, we do not leave our veterans behind. We do not leave a man behind. So, again, unaccompanied veteran burial. Oh, and I forgot, he is United States Army. So, one Mr. Edward Franklin Taylor, United States Army, October 1st, 2025, at late 11 a.m. sharp, Central Texas State Cemetery, 11463 Fort Hood Street, Killeen, Texas, 76542. So if you can make it, that's great. I'm going to stop my share here, stop my share on Rumble. All right. So and you're probably wondering why. I mean, and by the way, um, if any of you have a veteran, or if you know somebody, if you have anything to, um, see, where did it go? Um, if you know of anybody, I'm gonna find this real quick. If you know of anybody, if you know an unaccompanied in your Now I put more in there than that. I know I put it. Oh, here we go. But if you know of somebody and you want to get it out there, I would be more than happy to. Hey, just Jesse, thank you for the ice cream. I'd be more than happy to put it out there. If you know somebody who is a veteran or unaccompanied veteran, I would be happy to uh, add. All right, let's see. All right. So what I have determined, it's better if I just go ahead and do Zoom on two separate. There. Okay, so for the, 1 second, studio. Let me remove that so in Zoom you can see that. Does anybody remember the Fort Hood shooting back in 2009? I was actually working in Texas at the time. I was working for the state, and I remember my sister and my brother-in-law and her family. They were living in Fort Hood at the time of that happened, and my sister told me that they spent, I don't know how much money they spent when this guy, for his trial, they had like 4 helicopters. 3 of them were decoy helicopters because they were afraid that people were going to come out. So I don't know how much money that they were spent for that. But anyway, Pentagon seeks Trump approval for first U.S. military execution in 60 years following Fort Hood mass shooting. So Nidal Hassan killed 13 people in the 2009 Fort Hood shooting and has exhausted all appeals. So this is what, 26 years later. Uh, yeah, and my brother-in-law at the time, it was really, talking about God having his hand on him. Huh, I wonder when that happened. Fort Stewart. Wouldn't you know it? There's an article about the Fort Hood shooting that took place in 2009, and then they have a active shooter in Fort Stewart in Georgia. Anyway, the Pentagon is preparing to ask President Donald Trump to authorize the execution of Nidal Hassan. I think, you know what? Remember the. I mean, we've been talking about what is the punishment for treason. What if he's the first? What if he would be the first public one? So they're authorizing the first execution of Nadal Hassan, the former Army major convicted of carrying out the 2009 mass shooting at Fort Hood in Texas. A senior Department of Defense official, well, it's Department of War now, it's not Department of Defense anymore. Official told the Daily Caller News Foundation. Let's see, when did this come out? Okay, this came out. Yeah, okay. This came out on Wednesday, which technically was yesterday, uh, 6:43 p.m. If approved, it would be the first U.S. military execution in more than 6 decades. Hassan, a former Army psychiatrist, there. Here you go. Here's another example of you know drugs, right? He's a psychiatrist, which means he can. Let's see, psychiatrist can can prescribed medicine, right? Killed 13 people and wounded 32 others in the attack. Hassan entered Fort Hood's Soldier Readiness Center armed with a semi automatic pistol and opened fire on fellow service members preparing for deployment. That was a really weird year because I can remember too, that was when the guy from was who took his plane and ran into the IRS building too on research. So court throws out a plea deal for 9/11 master. Oh, this is another one too that might be. So during his subsequent trial, Hassan admitted to the shooting and claimed it was necessary to protect the Islamic Empire from American forces. Anybody remember that narrative from way back when? And yet we still have these people coming into our country. The Pentagon had categorized the massacre as an act of workplace violence. Well, who was in the Pentagon in 2009? Anybody remember? That would have been under Obama's first term. And I use that loosely. A decision that drew sharp criticism from lawmakers, victims' families, and national security experts. They argued it obscured the ideological and terrorist motivations behind the attack. So there you go. I mean, we have. Uh, so in 2013, a military jury convicted Hassan and sentenced him to death. There were people around there that were mad because of how they did that. Because, like I said, they spent money on like 3 helicopters. He has been held on death row at the U.S. Disciplinary Barracks in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, ever since. After years of appeals, thank goodness that they never went far, Hassan's final legal challenge was rejected in April 2025, clearing the way for execution. I am 100% committed to ensuring the death penalty is carried out for Nadal Hassan, Department of War Secretary Pete Hegseth told Fox News Digital. This savage terrorist deserves the harshest lawful punishment for his 2009 mass shooting in Fort Worth. The victims and survivors deserve justice without delays. Hassan was one of 4 prisoners facing death penalty under military jurisdiction. I wonder, have they officially renamed Fort Hood back? The Army Secretary has already recommended execution, and the Department of War is advancing the request. Hassan, born in Arlington, Virginia in 1970 to Palestinian immigrant parents, served nearly 20 years in the Army before reportedly embracing radical Islamic beliefs. By the time he was stationed at Fort Hood in 2009, he had become outspoken in his opposition to the U.S. military campaigns in Iraq and Afghanistan, justifying suicide bombings as a legitimate acts of war. I wish I didn't have all the. Is that it? I guess that's it. I wish I didn't have all the ads, but anyway. So that our trading our yeah. I like I said, I lived like only an hour and a half away. I wasn't very far. My sister's family was there. All right. So But I wonder if this will be the first of many and if it will be televised. Yeah, which I was going to ask. One thing I wanted to ask is I know people have used the word execution in relationship to what happened to Charlie Kirk, so I wonder if. Muhammad and two other terrorists. Federal Appeals Court upholds Defense Secretary authority to reject agreement that would have spared Khalid Sheikh Mohammed from death penalty. Uh, that's the thing that comes to mind, because that was right before the uh, oh, now we got another more Boasberg is at it again too. Man, I could just stay on this page. I think Austin indisputably had legal authority to withdraw from the agreements because the promises made in the deal had not yet been fulfilled and the government had no adequate alternative. On hold, the defendants were not targeted as previously scheduled, marking a victory for the Biden. So, Judge the what acted within the bounds of his legal authority, and we declined to second guess his judgment. So, hey, Roses Starbright. So, what are they saying? Does this mean that we're going to see? I mean, is this a like a prophetic? Is this like a foreshadowing? Maybe we're going to see these uh, trials. You know, I mean, we've been told this. I mean, this is stuff that we've basically been told that tribunal or you know prophetic words. People have talked about military tribunals from almost from the beginning. That we're going to have military tribunals. I mean, I think people have been. I don't know. It started somewhere. Pretty sure I know who, where, and we just, people. We've been waiting for these, right? The secretary acted within the bounds of his legal authority, and we declined to second guess his judgment. Okay, just to pause for a second. Here's a headline: Anti-Israel ringleader Mohammed Khalil's free speech lawsuit against U.S. government must be heard. Uh, I don't, like I said, I almost feel like I could just keep going, and I mean, look at all these headlines. So, Judge Robert L. Wilkins, in dissent, argued that siding with the government would be an overreach. The court's holding is stunning, Wilkins wrote. Not only does the majority believe that respondents, which are prosecutors who negotiated the plea deal, did not begin possible for me to conclude that the government has shown it is clearly and indisputably entitled to relief, he continued. The demanding mandamus standard is even further out of the government's reach when the government cannot cite binding on point precedent in support of its claims, and we are constrained to reviewing for clear error both the military judge's finding that the PTAS or A's PTAs encompass, which would be the uh, encompass the relevant promises of his application of the withdrawal regulation. But even on the de novo review of those findings, the government has not met its burden. So there you go. I know things are happening. This Federal judge says attempted deportation of anti-Israel ringleader Mohammed Khalil may be unconstitutional. How is it unconstitutional? I mean, if they come here to attack the United States, that makes them enemies of the United States. They don't need to be here. They need to, if they are a U.S. citizen, then they need to uh, lose their citizenship. You remember the what was it? What's she called? What was her title? The Jihad Bride that was radicalized. She even went and had a baby with one of the leaders, and then she all of a sudden she wanted to come back. It's like, great. I mean, you need to be under strict psychiatric care before we let you back in. Share down just for a second. And let me take the share down here for a second. And so if anybody wants to draw. I'm going to put out my Rumble, so if anybody wants to join me in Rumble so I can interact with you on Rumble, you can. Or YouTube. I'm going live on YouTube too. Me. Oop, oop, Notifications. Uh, Okay. Where's my chat? Gotta make sure my thing is gone. Here is my chat. Uh, Now I don't know. I don't know if you can. I'm assuming you can get because I have it under my wing and prayer. I'm assuming you can get it from there. Then I'm gonna go to. Oops. If anybody wants to put it in Vaughn and X, more than can. And wow. Can you believe it's already? Oh, wow. It's almost, we got 20 minutes. No, 10 minutes. That's quick. That was a quick hour. I can't believe it. That was a quick hour. And I didn't even get to half of what I wanted to do. So, alrighty. So, again, if you, you'll probably get tired of hearing, you know, help me, but I, I, I don't normally do it. I don't do it. I mean, it's not easy. All right. And I just lost like 8 people on Rumble. Just like that. Okay. Let me get back to here. Okay. Whoops. Y'all get tired of talking? It's like it's so quiet up there. Oh wow. This is what happened. This is what I do when I'm, doing my Bible study. I basically talk to myself. Okay. Um. So I did. Okay. So I want to go back. And this I went to thank. Um, let's see. Hold on a moment. I know. Okay. I want to thank Sword of Truth. I just want to say also that thank you for giving me this update. I did not know. And Erin did, if you're out there on X, Erin, 80s Erin did. Uh, she did show me the link you gave, but since it had a paywall, I had to find an alternative to the. Uh, I found an. Had to find an alternative to the. Uh, I found an alternative to it. I actually went to the source, so I kind of like to do that whenever I can. Let's see. Looks like it might be just a little bit too big. You can't see the screen. So I went to the source. I went to U.S. Attorney's Office, District of Massachusetts. So we've been talking about this. I've been talking about the people in these nonprofits that are being arrested, and they are um, they've been arrested in this Taylor, this Gannon Taylor, that has been arrested. She actually went through and she pled guilty. So this was actually Monday the 22nd. So the last article I read came out around the 12th. Or no, she was supposed to go ahead and plead guilty on the Friday the 12th, right? And apparently they delayed it until now. So Monica Gant, um, did I lose it? Oh gosh, is it just me? Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So the let's see, Monica Cannon Grant diverted thousands of donated to nonprofit to pay for personal expenses, defrauded Boston COVID-19 or C-19 relief Fund, Boston Office of Housing Stability, and Suffolk County District Attorney's Office, among others. So this is out of Boston. The founder and former chief executive officer of the local nonprofit Violence in Board, in Boston, or VIB, pleaded guilty today in federal court in Boston to making misrepresentations in order to obtain thousands of dollars in donations to nonprofit violence in Boston that she then diverted to pay for personal expenses, defrauding the city of Boston out of the COVID 19 relief funds and rental assistance money, defrauding the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office out of community and reinvestment grant funds, filing false tax return for 2 years and failing to file tax returns for 2 years. Monica Cannon Grant, 44 of Taunton, pleaded guilty to 18 counts, 3 counts of wire fraud conspiracy, 10 counts of wire fraud, 1 count of mail fraud, and 2 counts each of filing false tax returns and filing no, I think that's, and failing to file tax returns. U.S. District Court Judge Angel Kelly scheduled sentencing for January 29th. So here's my question: why so long? That basically means that she can go wherever she wants to. She's not. Doesn't sound like she's being held anywhere. Um, so she can basically run around free. In March of 2023, Ken Grant was charged along with her co-conspirator and husband Clark Grant in a 27-count superseding indictment. Clark Grant's charges were dismissed in May 2023 due to his death. Remember, yeah, I don't know. It seems kind of weird to me that he got in a motorcycle crash. Kenan Clark, Kenan Grant and Clark Grant had previously been charged in an 18-count indictment in March of 2022. Again, why did it take so long? This is almost, 4.5 years for this to happen, for them to finally get a plea deal going. Can't, I mean, wheels of justice running slowly is just, I don't know. Ken Grant was the founder and CEO of VIB, or was it Violence in Boston, an anti-violence nonprofit formally established in 2017. The stated purpose of which was to reduce violence, raise social awareness, and aid community causes in Greater Boston, among other purposes. Let's see. And here's a quote. Monica Cannon Grant repeatedly scammed multiple public financial programs and stole money donated by members of the public who believed their donations would aid in reducing violence and promote social awareness. Instead, Cannon Grant used donations to satisfy her own greed while falsely portraying herself as a legitimate nonprofit organizer. She betrayed the trust of everyone who donated and the public who supported her fraudulent charity, said United States Attorney Lee B. Foley. Today's plea demonstrates once again that no one is above the rule of law. Uh, um, okay. Today, just wanted to make sure I don't repeat that. Today's plea agreement underscores our commitment. Okay. Okay. Today's guilty plea underscores our commitment to investigating and holding accountable anyone who commits fraud. Ms. Cannon Grant defrauded several state programs and exploited her position in the community to line her own pocket, said Ketty Larco Ward, inspector in charge of the U.S. Postal Inspection Services Boston Division. I need to do a dive into the Postal Inspection Service. This investigation showcases the result of law enforcement partners. The successful resolution through a plea is a result of the strong investigative work, dedication, and partnership of postal inspectors and the U.S. Attorney's Office. I commend the relentless work and commitment to ensuring justice was achieved by all those involved. Monica Grant Monica Cannon Grant illegally enriched herself as part of a scheme that fraudulently diverted vital taxpayer resources away from those in need of employment insurance benefits during the C-19 pandemic. Well, think about some of the other nonprofits. Look at think about some of the churches. I can think of a couple um, ministries in quotes, on my quotes, air quotes. I can think of a couple of them that uh, took the PPE money. Anybody remember those? So that stated Jonathan R. Malone, or Maloney, Special Agent in charge of the Northeast Region, U.S. Department of Labor, Office of Inspector General. Protecting the integrity of the unemployment insurance program remains one of our highest priorities, and we will continue to work closely with the U.S. Attorney's Office and our other law enforcement partners to protect the integrity of U.S. Department of Labor programs and operations. I really think that we ought to, instead of looking at the news sources, why don't we just look at the press releases from these attorney offices, the attorney general's offices? As she admitted at today's plea hearing from 2017 through at least 2020, Cannon Grant represented herself as an uncompensated VIP, Violence in Boston, or VIB, director to donors and other charitable institutions, when in reality she and her late husband agreed to utilize their control over VIB accounts and funds to pay for personal expenditures by diverting VIB funds to themselves through cash withdrawals, cash checks, wire transfers into personal bank accounts, and debit purchases. Over the course of the conspiracy, Cannon Grant diverted thousands of dollars in donor money earmarked for BIB for her own personal use. She also applied for or certified the application for grants offered by public and private entities that included materially false representations. For example, Cannon Grant conspired to use VIB to defraud the Boston Resiliency Fund, a charitable fund established by the city of Boston to provide aid to Boston residents during the C-19 pandemic. I call it a pandemic because that's what it was. What was the narrative? Remember? Anybody remember? They tell everybody you were going to die if you didn't get a shot. Nobody. People also forget how con people by they con people by remember. Oh, we'll give you $1 million if you come and get the shot. Oh, how about a dinner for two for a shot? I mean, they try to bribe people after receiving approximately $53,777 in pandemic relief funds. Cannon Grant withdrew approximately 30,000 in cash from the VIB bank account, made deposits of 5,200 and 1,000 into her personal checking account, and made payments to her personal auto loan and car insurance policy. It's like they couldn't just use a regular salary. That's what I have to do. Cannon Grant did not disclose any of these personal expenses to BRF, which would be Boston Resiliency Fund, and instead falsely reported to BRF that all of its grant funds had been appropriately expended. In addition, Cannon Grant conspired to defraud Boston's Office of Housing Stability by concealing thousands of dollars of household income in order to obtain 12,600 in rental assistance from the city of Boston. instead of truthfully reporting accurate information about the family's earnings and benefits. Canon Grant and her late husband misrepresented. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry, the weather, the air has been a little bit stuffy. The humidity's been a little bit high the last few days, so starting to get to my voice. Cannon Grant and her late husband misrepresented their actual household income to obtain grant relief funds that were intended to aid Boston residents who are facing housing insecurity. They do that. Uh, Cannon Grant and her late husband also conspired to defraud the Massachusetts Department of Unemployment Assistance by submitting a fraudulent, I think it should be, it's either a fraudulent application or fraudulent applications for pandemic unemployment assistance and certifying on a weekly basis that they were not working and did not receive over $89 in income during the prior week. Oh my gosh. I mean, whoever look at their employment, I mean, they can tell by the, I mean, because you have to put down your, basically the worth of your car. You have to do an itemized list on stuff like that to prove that you qualify in the first place. In addition, Ken Grant filed false tax returns for 2017 and 18 and failed to file returns for 19 and 20, omitting tens of thousands of dollars in incomes that Ken Grant received in salary from finance in Boston and through work as a consultant. The charges of wire fraud conspiracy, wire fraud, and mail fraud each provide for a sentence of up to 20 years in prison, up to 3 years of supervised release, and a fine up to $250,000. The charge of filing false tax return provides for a sentence of up to 3 years in prison, 1 year of supervised release, and a fine up to $100,000. The charge of failure to file a tax return provides for a sentence of up to 1 year in prison, 1 year of supervised release, and a fine of up to $25,000. Sentences are imposed by a federal district court judge based on the U.S. sentencing guidelines and statutes, which govern the determination of a sentence in a criminal case. So, U.S. Attorney Foley, I'm not going to read all the credentials. Let's see. But that would be, this would be U.S. Postal Inspector General, uh, Inspector Services, I think. Larker Ward, DOL, Department of Labor, Sac Malone, Thomas DeMayo, Acting Special Agent in charge for the Internal Revenue Service, Criminal Investigation, Boston Field Office, Matthew M. Madofri, Special Agent in charge of the U.S. Postal Service Office, Inspector General, and Massachusetts Inspector General Jeffrey Shapiro made the announcement today. Assistant U.S. Attorneys Adam Deach and Dustin Chow of the Public Corruption Unit are prosecuting the case. On May 17, 2021, the Attorney General established the C-19 Fraud Enforcement Task Force to marshal the resources for the Department of Justice in partnership with agencies across government to enhance efforts to combat and prevent pandemic related fraud. The task force bolsters efforts to investigate and prosecute the most culpable domestic and international criminal actors and assists agencies tasked with administrating relief programs to prevent fraud by, among other methods, augmenting and incorporating existing coordination mechanism, identifying resources and techniques to uncover fraudulent actors and their schemes, and sharing and harnessing information insights gained from prior enforcement efforts. For more information, please to the response to the pandemic, please visit www.justice.gov see coronavirus. And then it's interesting how they're focusing on the virus fraud. So of course we all know that the that whole thing was a fraud. So I'm going to stop that screen share and let's go to another. Let's go to another. And let's see. We talked about. Let's see. Let's see. Let me see what all I have. I did that one already. Where should I go next? We talked about that. Oh yeah. So, in case you missed everything else that was going on today, um, oops. Okay, that's that. So, in case you forgot, or if you, in case you, just in case you missed this today, excuse me. Um, South Air Force Base today. It's reopened after man shot by security outside the gate of Nellis Air Force Base. And um, what first caught my eye on this was the fact that this is uh, one of the headlines saw it was its proximity to Area 51. So why we know they're trying to pull the whole aliens from outer space routine Project Bluebeam that want people to think we're being invaded by aliens. But they're not aliens. They're demonic creatures. And that's what they are. They're to get people to panic. They're trying to get people, all you have to, So anyway, I hope you can see that to read it. But in case you can't, Las Vegas Metro Police are investigating an incident after shots were fired outside of Nellis Air Force Base. So this is also happening in it. Like you have the ICE facility being shot up, or the van in Dallas. Now you have the Nellis Air Force Base. And I know that for the last couple of weeks, the base where I'm at, I mean, they've kind of heightened security. So, um, I mean, when I go through I mean, I haven't seen this in a while. Every once in a while, they'll have it, but they actually, when you go through the base, they actually have someone, one of the guards is behind a shield. So you kind of get an idea something's up, even if you don't know what it is. Most of the time you go in and out, you don't really think much of it. And it's like, oh, but I mean, I get kind of hypersensitive about stuff because of what we have learned, or what especially what I have learned since 2016 when President Trump took office. Or well, he took office in 2017, but since he was elected. Uh, According to LVMPD, around 12:30 a.m. That'll be early morning hours. I mean, it happened before the base opened up normally. NF, was it? Let's see. Oh gosh, Nellis Air Force Base. That's what NAFB, which is near Nellis Air Force Base. Security said a person at the gate pointed a gun at them. Forces shot the suspect in the leg. Police report a tourniquet was applied, and the suspect was taken to the hospital with nine non-life-threatening injuries. An, an update just after 9 a.m. from Nellis Air Force Base said that the main gate and visitor control center had resumed standard operations. The Simons Gate is scheduled to remain open until 9 a.m. to assist with traffic flow, official says. Officials say there is no threat to the public. This is an ongoing investigation. So I don't know. We don't know. But I just thought that was, I mean, I think we are seeing such a um, overload of information, of news reports out there that we're losing stuff. I mean, what is critical? What isn't critical? What is, you know, I mean, this is a big deal. I think why did this guy decide to? What is his motivation? Is he a distraction? What's the distraction? Is it just local? I mean, you really didn't see much of it. I really didn't see a whole lot of traction. Uh, but okay, I'm gonna stop that share real quick. Wow, can't believe, man, this has been a fast 3 hours. So, and Rumble is still going well. That's even more amazing. Let's see. Here's some here. Moving on to California. So, anybody else in California sitting out there this morning listening? In case you are, will start coming on. Just wake up, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right. So, so not only is Newsom not only do we have to worry about prop Newsom, uh, uh, gosh, anybody who those well, my family farm. I mean, that farm's been in the family for what 5 6 generations now. Because I mean, she's a great grandmother. So those was hailed at the time as a breakthrough moment for clean energy. Its power has been struggling to compete with. Oh, I'm gonna have to get a picture of that, including NRG Energy Inc. I'm like, I still, a 459-foot towers. Solar technology such as rooftop panels, which have much lower capital and operating costs. But advancements over time in photovoltaics and battery storage have led to increased energy use. Impulse technology has worked on a smaller scale in Europe, but over time it could match the up. What? Other do Philadelphia does it, but guess what? Austin is other early opening. The plant didn't produce as much electricity expected for a simple reason: the sun wasn't shining as much as expected. Well, guess what? That's what happens when. I'm really surprised about instant there. I do that in Texas to do the roundabout. Those are crazy. I just I don't understand. I don't understand how. I know that last few days we've had some really big foggy weather, so I don't have too much more to do. And then, all right, uh, that, did that one, did that one, we did that one. Okay, so we're gonna kind of shift gears a little bit. I found this, and I thought this was, guys. If we thought we had it bad here, it's getting bad. Think about this guy, this poor guy here. This is what's coming to us. You know, it's on the horizon if we don't wake up. All right. So for those of you, if you just joined, this is on a wing and a prayer. This is Dep 65. So I am doing my own personal. Okay. And so far, I guess it's just I can't do videos because trying to do videos through what. Uh, so here is a Florida retiree is banned from leaving Saudi Arabia. So imagine this. Imagine if it was the other way around. I understand Saudi Arabia's point of view. You don't go to another country and you don't bash if you go. So Saad al-Mahdi, 75, was found guilty of distributing online content that undermines public order, according to a September 14th ruling provided by his son. So I wonder if he's really a U.S. citizen or is he a Saudi citizen that's been living in Florida. The conviction, which has not been previously reported, carries a 3-year sentence but spares Almaty additional prison time after he spent more than a year behind bars following his arrest in 2021. So he has been in prison since 2021. That's all I got. I thought I had more than that. Hmm. I'm not going to do it live. I wonder what the. I mean, there's got to be more to. Blocks Al Mahdi from leaving the kingdom until March. Saudi government, which did not respond to a request for comment, doesn't recognize dual citizenship, and regularly rejects criticism of its actions, saying they are part of a multi year crackdown on corruption, terrorism, and other security threats. The ruling comes after Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman gave a lavish welcome to President Donald Trump during a May trip to Saudi Arabia, a key strategic partner of the United States. It built on efforts to re engage with the kingdom after the Crown Prince's reputation was badly damaged by U.S. intelligence determination that he had likely ordered the 2018 killing. Oh gosh, Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi. Prince Mohammed denies his involvement. So here we go. Here's the crux of the matter. Al Mahdi's son, Ibrahim Al Mahdi, says he believes the sentence is aimed at prompting his family and those of a handful of other American citizens facing similar exit bans to stay silent. Well, come on. Going to another country, I mean, it's bad enough when you do it here, you do your own country. I mean, this is the reason why we United States has freedom of expression, freedom of speech, is because so you don't get. But if you're going to go to another country, that is just silly. Yeah, I know. It was it was a fun trip, and it kind of helped me, especially if you had to go to the bathroom. And you kind of think, oh, we're getting closer. Kind of took my mind off of it, right? Um, but anyway, you don't go to another country and bash the president. He's bad enough when the Dixie Chicks did it. They went to to a different country and then started bashing the United States. That was bad enough. But come on, uh, the government keeps changing its mind, and there's no consequences every time he does. It does, he says in an interview. If you get your dad out, you probably shouldn't say anything either. Really, I mean, think about it. Whether you agree with it or not, it's probably not a wise idea. A retired project manager who immigrated to the U.S. in the 1970s, the elder Al Mahdi was arrested upon his arrival in Saudi Arabia. I can't talk. In Saudi Arabia for what was supposed to be a short trip to see family. Officials confronted him with tweets he had posted over the past several years, including one about Khashoggi's killing and another on the Crown Prince's consolidation of power. Okay, I stand corrected. I can admit when I'm wrong. So apparently they were monitoring his tweets. Family says. Almaty was quickly sentenced to more than 19 years in prison on terrorism related charges stemming from these tweets. Saudi Arabia freed him after more than a year and dropped the terrorism charges, but imposed an exit ban that keeps him from returning to his home in excuse me in Boca Raton near Miami. The Associated Press reported in January that Saudi officials were pressuring the elder Ahmadi to renounce his American citizenship. That almost sounds like what happened with the Pastor Brunson in Turkey. Trump, who has made freeing Americans held by a foreign adversaries a top priority, has remained mostly silent. When asked by a reporter in May about the case, he said he didn't know about it but promised to take a look. A few weeks later, one of his national security aides, Sebastian Gorka, met with the younger Al Mahdi at the White House. I mean, remember, there's gatekeepers with President Trump. He doesn't always get everything. The U.S. State Department said it is monitoring the elder Almaty's case, providing him with appropriate consular services, and has been in contact with his family, but it declined to provide further comment, citing privacy considerations. The White House didn't respond to a request for comment. Yeah, because they probably would mess things up by releasing information that could damage any kind of negotiations. Trump, since returning to the White House, has intensified an effort started during the Biden administration to bury any criticism of the Saudi royals over allegations of their involvement with Khashoggi's killing inside the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. I'll get it. During his visit to Riyadh in May, Trump described Prince Mohammed as an incredible man, and my friend. You know what? He always says that when before he lowers the boom on somebody. Trump's family has extensive business dealings with the world's top oil exporter, which have only deepened since voters returned him to the White House. So this is more about President. This whole article is more about President Trump and Saudi Arabia than it is about the gentleman that's actually in jail. Go figure. So in April, the Trump organization struck a deal with a developer close to the Saudi royal family, London-based Dar Global, to build a Trump-branded beachside villa and 18-hole golf course in neighboring Qatar. The Trump organization is also partnering with the. Okay, he. Okay, he can't. He has nothing to do with the Trump organization while he is in office. We already established that through his first term. The Trump organization also is partnering with a firm in a luxury high-rise apartment building with the coastal city of Jeddah, a project that was announced last December. The private equity firm, controlled by Trump's son in law and former White House advisor Jared Kushner, received a $2 billion investment from the sovereign wealth fund controlled by the Crown Prince. Abdullah Alaud, a senior director at the Middle East Democracy Center, a Washington based human rights group, is tracking cases of Americans under exit bans in Saudi Arabia. He said he knew of four others, an American citizen, two dual U.S. Saudi nationals, and a U.S. green card holder facing a similar plight as Mahdi's. Saudi Arabia is the largest oil producer in the Middle East. It's also a key player in regional conflicts involving Iran and Yemen, as well as the chief prize. And there, here, this is probably the real reason dealing with them is Iran and Yemen, as well as the chief prize in U.S. efforts to get Arab states to normalize relations under Israel under Abraham Accords, a hallmark foreign policy achievement during Trump's first term. So the fact dual citizenship should not be a thing. You're either in this country, you're a legal citizen, or you're not, or you are. So shouldn't have anything to do with it. All right. So let me. All right. I think. All right. So this was given to me by Clifford earlier, and Clifford, if you're still out there, I'm sorry I didn't get to it sooner. I was going to play it, but uh, I had other. There were others that. So, of course, we all know about President Trump. Because Chris and I were talking about terrorists and everything. So this was Monday, September 22nd. And see, designating Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. Today, President Trump signed an order to designate Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. It's about time. The order notes that Antifa is a militarist anarchist enterprise that calls for the overthrow of the U.S. government, law enforcement authorities, and our system of law using illegal means, including violence and terrorism, to accomplish these goals. Well, the fact that they're funded by somebody, we know that they are not organic. The order directs the federal government to investigate, disrupt, dismantle all illegal operation conducted by Antifa or any person claiming to act on behalf of Antifa. It also calls for investigating, disrupting, and dismantling the funding sources behind such operations. Dismantling Antifa's use for political violence. Antifa engages in coordinated efforts to obstruct enforcement of federal laws with the goal of achieving policy objectives by coercion and intimidation. This is domestic terrorism. Antifa has engaged in armed standoff with law enforcement, organized riots, violently assaulting ICE and other law enforcement officers, and engages in routine doxing of political figures and activists, threatening public safety. ICE officers are now facing a 1,000% increase in assaults against them. An Antifa affiliated group in Portland, Oregon, doxed ICE officers, publishing their names, pictures, and personal addresses online. A journalist was violently assaulted by Antifa protesters while reporting on a protest in Portland. Using pepper spray, baseball bats, and tasers, Antifa members violently attacked Trump supporters during a Patriot march in Pacific Beach, California. The group recruits and radicalizes young Americans to engage in this violence and works to conceal identities of members and funding sources, frustrating law enforcement efforts. Antifa's efforts to advance political violence and suppress lawful political speech must be stopped. So, restoring law and order, every American deserves to be safe, and President Trump is dedicated to restoring law and order in communities across the United States. Uh, this is a quote from President Trump. I am pleased to inform our many U.S. patriots that I am designating Antifa, a sick, dangerous, radical left disaster, as a major terrorist organization. I will also be strongly recommending that those funding Antifa be thoroughly investigated in accordance with the highest legal standards and practices. We'll start with Soros, George and Alex Soros, right? Yeah, the thing is I bet a lot of this stuff has already been taken care of. It's just the information. We're on a information mission. So you're too late. She's gone. So anyway, President Trump has been relentless in his efforts to combat terrorism, from designating cartels as foreign terrorist organizations to ordering military strikes on narco terrorists. President Trump has deployed federal resources to stop violence in our cities, including sending the National Guard to Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., and Memphis. I wonder what's the next City. I know they keep saying come to Chicago, but all right. I am going to, because so if you are on Rumble, Twitch, or YouTube, on my channel there, I want to say thank you for sticking around, and I'm thankful that Rumble actually worked tonight. It doesn't always happen, and so um, anyway, I'm going to take down my Rumble studio. So thank you, and I'll see you next time when I get a chance to do my Bible study, because I'm getting ready to play some video. Or anyway, y'all have a good night on Rumble and Twitch and YouTube, and we'll see you later. Anyway, go in peace, go in shalom, go with God.